न kāraṇasya sadṛśaṃ kāryamityupapadyate न kāraṇasyāsadṛśaṃ kāryamityupapadyate.
Na kāraṇasya sadṛśaṃ kāryam ityupapadyate. Na kāraṇasya sadṛśaṃ kāryam ityupapadyate. MMK chapter 4 verse 6. That an effect bears resemblance to a cause is not possible. That an effect does not bear resemblance to a cause is not possible. So as you heard on the recitation there from bodhisvara.com, the two lines are exactly the same, except for one of the A's is longer. The A at the end of kāraṇasya is longer in the second line, because kāraṇasya is conjoined with the A of sadṛśaṃ, so it becomes na kāraṇasyāsadṛśaṃ instead of na kāraṇasyāsadṛśaṃ. So this is a good verse for anybody to learn if they want to start learning a verse, because once you've learned the first line, the second line is a piece of cake. So from the English, that is iti. Iti is like quotation marks or thus. An effect, kāryam. So kāryam, literally to be done. So it has a karmic connotation which is lost in translation, I'm afraid. That an effect, kāryam iti, bears resemblance, sadṛśaṃ. So sadṛśaṃ is resemblance, and bears is the genitive of kāraṇasya. So kāraṇasya means of the cause. Again, kāraṇa is also from the verbal root kri, to do, so it suggests a karmic connotation which is lost in the word cause. So bears resemblance to a cause, kāraṇasya sadṛśaṃ. So that an effect bears resemblance to a cause, na kāraṇasya sadṛśaṃ kāryam iti, is possible, upapadyate. So the not, I said it right at the beginning of the line. So na upapadyate is not possible. Once more, that iti, an effect, kāryam, nominative singular neuter, bears resemblance to a cause, kāraṇasyāsadṛśaṃ, is not na possible, upapadyate. Na kāraṇasyāsadṛśaṃ kāryam ityupapadyate. That an effect bears resemblance to a cause is not possible. And then the opposite, na kāraṇasyāsadṛśaṃ kāryam ityupapadyate. So, literally, of a cause, kāraṇasya, non-resemblance, asadṛśaṃ, kāryam, an effect. So an effect does not, or an effect, literally, of an effect, of a cause, there is non-resemblance, an effect. There is an effect of non-resemblance to a cause. Na kāraṇasyāsadṛśaṃ kāryam ityupapadyate. That an effect does not bear resemblance to a cause is not possible. And Sideris and Katsura give the example of a frog and a tadpole. Apparently this was discussed in ancient India. So to what extent an effect such as a frog bears resemblance to a tadpole, which is its cause. And of course, from the standpoint of emptiness, the flaw in that kind of argument is to treat a frog as a self-existing thing and to treat a tadpole as a self-existing cause of a frog. Whereas the point that Nagarjuna is making is that an effect, we've been studying so far the effect of physicality. An effect like physicality or like a frog is dependently arisen. So it doesn't arise from a cause. So physicality is empty, it's not a thing unto itself. But although it's the fact that it's empty means it's real. Physicality is empty, and therefore it's real. The mistaken conception is that because physicality is empty, we needn't really pay much attention to a body. A body is just a convenient fiction. Well, it's true that a body is a convenient fiction, but if you've got to lug 100 weight of coal up the stairs, you realise that what's empty is real. That's the really important point. And conversely, what is real is empty. So why is it important? Why is it important to understand that what is real is what is empty? Well, the alternative is Zen realism, in which a thing is seen as real as it is. They're really antithetical conceptions. And as often happens, as Gurdjieff pointed out, human beings in our ignorance have a tendency to turn the truth into its opposite. So non-doing becomes doing. Spine straight vertically by pulling in the chin, etc., etc. That's how I knew that my teacher's teaching was wrong. That was the tell. But when I research now what that wrong teaching goes back to, here's the answer. And it's interesting to me that my resentment, say, towards Michael Latchford has dissipated quite a lot from studying MMK. Because I tended to blame him for turning Nishijima Sensei against me. But I come to realise that the reason that Nishijima Sensei saw me as belonging to the other side was exactly what Nagarjuna is talking about here. If we see something as a thing as it is, we attach to it, or we're afraid of it as such. When we see what is empty as empty, there's less temptation to want to get our dirty paws on it out of attachment, or to recoil from it in fear, because it's not a thing as it is. So over the holidays, I had a little bit of an email exchange with Mike Latchford about MMK, because he studied it 20 years ago and did a translation of it. And he recognised, for example, that Gamyamana has to do with the present moment, whereas if you translate it as being moved, that sort of meaning is lost. The now being visited suggests what's going on right now. So obviously that, Mike recognises that he missed something in MMK that I sort of unearthed, and so that's a good basis for a friendly conversation. And then in the process of it, Mike apologised for taking sides with Sensei against me, and that was, I recognised the truth in that I hadn't recognised before, because it was easy for me as Sensei's loyal disciple, like the sort of the Russians in Tsarist Russia, you put the blame on the advisors, and retain your loyalty to the Tsar. And so psychologically, when I noticed people taking sides against me, when Sensei was in his dotage, it was still hard for me to put the blame on him, although it seemed like I was criticising him a lot. Deep down, I still believed his teaching had to be true. Otherwise, I put all my eggs in the wrong basket, which was difficult to accept. Just as it was difficult for him to accept that the Shobogenzo translation wasn't his sole possession, But I've consciously been bearing resentment all these years as a conscious decision, really, because it's like a grieving parent, like my friend Kevin Grant, grieving for his son George, who died a couple of years ago. Grieving parents don't want to let go of their grief, because their grief is the connection with their lost child. In the same way, I haven't wanted to let go of my resentment, because my resentment gives me the fuel to solve the problem. It's been a problem for many, many years that's remained unresolved. So the resentment is a way of keeping me focused on it, getting to the bottom of it. And sure enough, Nagarjuna is pointing to the solution, the real true explanation of what all the nonsense went back to, pratitya. So it went back to Zen realism. If you see a thing, if you think enlightenment is seeing a thing as it is, then emptiness does not prevail, and you react to things on the basis of your ignorance. So that's precisely what it was. Doings are born of ignorance, like making an effort to sit in the right posture is doings born of ignorance. But the ignorance in question is essentially ignorance of the teaching of emptiness. It's ignorance is prapansha, spinning into existence as a thing what is originally empty. So it might seem like this is sort of dry philosophical discourse and analysis, but actually it goes to the root of our suffering. An effect bears resemblance to a cause is a non-empty conception. There's an effect, and does it bear resemblance to a cause, yes or no? The question doesn't arise if effects and causes are dependently arisen, they're empty. Na kāraṇasya kāryam upapadyate. Na kāraṇasya kāryam upapadyate. That an effect bears resemblance to a cause is not possible. That an effect does not bear resemblance to a cause is not possible. So we're still talking about physicality. So the next verse extends the exploration to the other four skandhas. But just to explain this verse in terms of physicality, we've got the ancient discussion of tadpole and frog. But I've got behind me there a retired racehorse whose physicality is still conspicuous. If I go and feed him a bit of old bread or radish leaves or whatever, you sense this physicality. So that physicality is dependently arisen. It's not a thing in itself. Dependently arisen from, for example, just as I am dependently arisen from the porridge I have for breakfast, a horse is dependently arisen from the oats. That one actually just eats hay and grass, but let's say a racehorse is dependently arisen from oats. Well, in that case, the wrong thought is that the racehorse doesn't bear resemblance to the cause, which is oats. The physicality of the racehorse does not bear resemblance to the physicality of the oats. On the other hand, if you look at the pedigree of the racehorse, then very clearly that's the whole point of breeding racehorses, that the physicality of the sire is very much passed on to the physicality of the foal, and will grow into the next generation of racehorses. So those are the two kind of considerations which are refuted when we stop thinking in terms of a cause and an effect and think in terms of dependent arising.
न kāraṇasya sadṛśaṃ kāryamityupapadyate न kāraṇasyasadṛśaṃ kāryamityupapadyate.